you played for June Jones with the Detroit Lions, who drafted you out of Houston, and the Atlanta Falcons. You've been here for about a month.
About a month, yeah.
How is Coach Jones different when he's your boss as opposed to your coach?
There isn't any difference. I mean, June was always a player's coach. I remember in '89, my rookie year, how helpful he was as far as teaching us guys the offense, and very involved in our well-being on and off the field, along with Miles Davis. And the atmosphere that he was in with Wayne Fonts was very friendly to players, very player friendly. And even in Atlanta with Jerry Glanville, just having fun with Jerry. It was always a player-friendly atmosphere. So seeing it now, I understand why the players have such respect for June now, and June has that same demeanor and same, way about himself, even now as a coach. So I don't really see him as my boss, although I know he is. But I see him as that guy I played for, and that guy that really cares about people and willing to do whatever he can to help. So I'm excited about being here with him.
All right, obviously at University of Houston, you were studying SMU's defense, not their offense. But from what you know about the system June runs here, how different is it? How much has it modified since you played under him? Has it?
I haven't had a chance to really look and see as far as what they're doing now, but to me, on tape, there's a lot of similarities. And just talking to June briefly about it, we have our offensive meetings coming up here in a couple of weeks, so I'll get a chance to really see. But just talking to June, there hasn't been any changes. The names are still the same, and so it's just a matter of me reacquainting myself with the system. I've been in the system for June for 6 years. And what we're doing at Houston the last couple, 4 or 5 years or so. So I think once I get back in there, I'll see there's a lot of similarities to what we did when I was a player.
There's a lot of talk that when Coach Jones was hired here 4 years ago, that he wanted you on his staff then. Is that true? And how close were you to coming to Dallas 4 years ago? And then what attracted you to the job this time?
I took the job 4 years ago. And June will tell you, we had a discussion about it. I actually took the job and went home and just had more of I don't know, my heart was telling me and my gut was telling me you need to be with June, but my comfort level was Houston. Having played at Houston, being from Houston, my wife was currently just gotten a new job or promotion there in Houston, and being familiar with that whole deal, I kind of went with the comfort zone deal as opposed to my heart. But this time, it wasn't even an option. I basically weighed the last 4 years versus the next 4 years, 5, 6, 7, hopefully. And just know that this is the right time for me in my career, and it's with the right guy at the right time in my career. So yeah, I actually took the job, and I'm here 4 years later.
So when you ended up taking the job, but then going back to Houston 4 years ago, did Coach Jones say something like, there's always going to be a job here for you, or eventually we're going to work together down the road? Well, obviously you parted on good terms.
Right, we parted on great terms. That's the kind of guy he is. He's a professional in everything that he does, and like I said before, he cares about people, and he understood my situation. He understood, the dilemma I had before me, and he was very appreciative, of me, actually calling him back and telling him that, I wasn't going to do it, and the reasons I gave, he understood that, and basically said, hopefully, one day in the future, we'll get a chance to work together. So that door was always open.
Some of your most productive players when you're coaching at the University of Houston were walk-ons,
right?
Including Patrick Edwards.
Right.
How is teaching walk-ons different from the scholarship guy that's on everybody's list in February when signing day rolls around?
Well, that's one of those things, and I know there's been a lot said about these recruiting services, these stars and all that deal. But, here's the deal. As a coach, it's your job to get that player better, whether he's a walk-on kid or a scholarship kid. Vincent Marshall was a walk-on, and both those guys, Vincent Marshall and Patrick Edwards, are now 1 and 2 in the all-time receiving records at the University of Houston. So to me, it's about your ability as a coach to bring out the best in that player, and that's something you can see as a coach that other people that probably hadn't played the game or doesn't coach, can't see, and that's what we look for, and that's, as a coach, that's what I look for, and I want to coach all the guys the same, whether he's a scholarship player or walk-on. It doesn't really matter to me. If he's on this roster, he has a role and he has to contribute in some way, and my job is to prepare that kid to make sure that when he gets his opportunity, he can play at the highest level.
When you get a chance to coach at your alma mater, as you did, and then one of your players passes you on the record books, whether it's catches or yards or touchdowns, What's that like? I mean, you're getting bumped down, but it's also your work that's bumping him up. What does that feel like to go through?
It feels great. I mean, it's just one of those things, we have meetings and we discuss those things, and I've been fortunate enough to, had the opportunity as a player to set some marks at the University of Houston. And I've been also fortunate enough to coach not just 2 guys, but maybe 6 guys, or maybe even 8 guys now, that have had the opportunity to, set their, put their records out there and break my record. So to me, as a coach, I just feel like I've broken it twice.